All righty. I got to tell you, today's an exciting day for me, everyone. This is Papa Dukes of the OG Social Network podcast here in the great city of New York, in the great state of New York. I want to let you know that this show is a very special segment, real quick. Going to get it out as soon as possible. Sponsored by Proteus 420, New York City Cannabis Exchange, and Green Spectrum CBD. As I said before, all this is really happening really quickly. You know my sponsors, Proteus 420, New York City Cannabis Exchange, and Green Spectrum CBD. Thank you all again for supporting us this year. I am with Professor Terrence L. Coffie. He is a co-founder of the Cannabis Justice and Equity Initiative. It took me 6 months to learn that. We met last summer and did a couple of interviews, which were amazing. And people will see. We will have these interviews out, and you will just see a progression of all of our special guests over the next year. Professor Coffie, currently right now, he is probably one of the amazing advocates and activists in our community, not just on cannabis, but on social equity and fairness and labor education. He's all over the place. And most of you know him already, but we are going to do a proper introduction, and I'm going to let him get you started on really this important message right now. About what's going on. So I want to go right ahead. First off, where are you teaching right now?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. We hear you fine.
Well, listen, I want to first say thank you so much, Papa Duke, for having me on the show. But more importantly, I want to thank you for the tremendous work that you do on your podcast in the community that empowers and educate our communities, which is first and foremost in all of this that we do. So again, much love, much shout out to you and respect for the tremendous work that you're doing and having me on the show today.
Thank you.
First off, I'm an adjunct assistant professor at New York University, where I lead courses in diversity, racial oppression, and privilege, as well as in forensic justice and problem solving course. I'm also an adjunct assistant faculty with our New York University's prison education program and the founder of the Social Justice Network and co-founder of the Cannabis Justice and Equity Initiative.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. How's Jamil doing over there?
Man, Jamil is holding this whole fort down. Between him and Jeffrey, with Jeffrey, being up and, doing a lot of our policy work, Jamil is just continually pushing to develop our T program, which is the training, employment, educational program for our communities and individuals to enter this space and provide the best opportunities for our individuals and communities to take part in this work. And me, myself, I get to be on the forefront of a lot of the social equity and social justice programs and, initiatives that take place to ensure that agencies are aligned with the commitment to social equity as slated, not only as it relates to cannabis, but across the board through our structures and systems here in New York City.
Excellent. And how does the Justice Lab support cannabis justice, the equity for impacted communities?
Well, man, that's a good question. And, let me say, I was on a conversation earlier today, and I think that the first thing to our listening audience and to your those who are tuning in, the Justice Lab is just synonymous with anything that we do as it relates to our communities in providing legal support and opportunities within the system. I was in 2016, I was part of the advocacy that led to the passage of the ban the box legislation, which made it illegal for employers to discriminate against individuals or those who were impacted by the criminal legal system in getting a job. So for me, my work has always been at the forefront that no matter what we did or what I would do, it was critically important that there's a justice arm to the communities that we service, which was the development of the CJEI Justice Lab that's not only committed to ensuring that individuals or students of CJEI's 16-week program have support in removing any barriers as it relates to charges or the open charges, certificates of release, et cetera, but also we've translated that to ensure that we're providing that service to the broader community. I've been at the forefront that, I believe in restorative justice. I believe in the idea that the same communities in which we saw the over-policing, the over rates of incarceration, the impact of anti-cannabis enforcement in Black and brown communities.
Yes,
that led to that led to what we see now, whether it was through broken window laws, whether through stop and frisk, whether it was you smoking weed, et cetera, that those spaces, those communities have a space of restorative justice. So for me, the CJEI lab it wasn't even nothing to think about. I knew it was a necessity to ensure that our communities have legal support in addressing some of those challenges that they will face. And in some places I get to say might face, but for our communities that were over policed during the height of anti-cannabis enforcement, this is to ensure that those individuals have that legal support to address any challenges that they may face through our legal channels, the courts, et cetera, to provide that support to them.
Excellent. And what specific programs and initiatives are you currently being implemented at the Justice Lab?
Well, right now we're focusing mainly on certificates of relief, certificates of good conduct. We're having clients and students sit down directly with our attorneys to go through any criminal records. We also have a few conversations that we're now having with the Manhattan DA's office to have the CJEI program as an alternative to incarceration. And some of those things are in the working, but it's something that we're super excited about, to know that this work is being recognized by our criminal legal system as an alternative to incarceration that not only, again, educates but empowers our students and communities with opportunity and taking part in this billion-dollar industry that's happening right here in New York.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot bigger than that, I'll tell you.
It's going to be a lot bigger than that. We're already there.
I've been telling everyone we're going to be the center of the cannabis industry globally. So with the farmers and the processors that I've met and have worked with, their commitment to high quality products for the state of New York is above and beyond. It's going to set a benchmark. What are the metrics or outcomes that you're using to measure the success of the Justice Lab?
Well, one of the main things, the main metric is employment. The main other metric that we're looking forward to is stability. When we're looking at the lack of impact by the criminal legal system after this happens. Once we're gaining that support from our legal community and seeing how our students are being able to navigate with the support mechanism, which has always been the most important thing for any returning citizen or any individual that's been impacted by a criminal legal system. Mainly, as you and I know, when we look at our communities, when we talk about, and this is why the educational piece, not just as it relates to the cannabis industry, but also an understanding that our legal rights are within these spaces. As you may know, or some of your viewers, there are still areas in which young Black and brown folk are still being stopped based upon having marijuana, although we know it's been legalized. But if you do, if our communities don't know this, if our communities do not have an arm or agency that they can turn to say, hey, this is happening, then that becomes problematic. So that's another thing that we're focusing on, just so you'll know, is creating a committee or an agency within CJEI where community members can file complaints for, illegal arrests as it relates to cannabis, being stopped as it related to cannabis, because unfortunately, some of these practices still go on within our communities. I hear a lot of people saying, and this is where I have to educate people, like, well, Professor Coffie, it's legal, so they can't do that. They're not doing that because it's on the books. Man, I already know what was on the books. It was on the books that we don't discriminate against people. It was on the books for this and that. But in communities that are are not aware of these things, and communities that have been oppressed, and communities that have been marginalized, and communities that feel like they have no rights, no power, no voice, then we see these type of practices that take place. I'm the first one to remind people that, back in when we first did the study surrounding this work, there was a report done by the New York Times that said that if you want to be arrested for cannabis in New York City, be black or brown. Right. So that information was followed up. That article was followed up with NYPD, who said, well, hey, we were getting more calls from these communities on cannabis, and the reporter in that article decided to do the follow-up. And what they determined and realized was that the same number of calls that were coming from what we call the hood were also the same number of calls that we were getting from the east side. But what the only difference was in that, Papa Duke, was who was being arrested, because as you know, money is power. So can you imagine you and I here chopping it up, that those young kids up in, on the east side smoking weed in their house, and they get a call? I don't think that nobody's going to be kicking in their doors. I don't think nobody's going to be throwing them down to the ground. I don't think that none of those things or practice that we saw taking place in our communities was happening on the east side, because as you and I know, if you kick in one of their doors talking about dragging their kids and slamming into the ground, except that's a whole different outcome. Yeah,
that's that they got the resources and the power, right? Yeah. So
you got it. So those are the things that go ahead.
No. You're right. It's we already realize now, especially you and I as OGs, we're I came to a conclusion, I was born into an oppressed society, but I am grateful that I'm able to voice and express and grow, and that the truth about our history, American history, is finally coming out. And it's not just American history, it's imperialist colonialization in modern times. We can't go too far back. We have to probably as far back as 1600s, when all this shit really kicked off. Although the papal bull, which was written in 1513, established Europeans as the apex of all humanity, and the rest of us were beneath them. So, but that's all changing, and really a lot of it goes to the younger generation, because they're not going to tolerate it. They just as soon see the world burn. Then, if that's the case, I kind of appreciate that. In what ways can community members and stakeholders engage with the Justice Lab?
Well, one of the first things that we're doing with our community is becoming active members within our community conversations, coming to some of our CJEI labs that we're hosting in communities to engage in that, and to really get to know the program, and seeing how we're supporting a lot of those individuals and communities and agencies that service this population. Because again, when we have a $1 billion industry that is now shaping right before our eyes, I think we just reached $1 billion marker a few weeks ago.
Like 1.09, something like that.
Yeah. So once we see that happening, I think that is critically important, particularly in the context of social justice, social equity, that we're involved in those spaces. And for a lot of our stakeholders, we're asking them and engaging with them to engage with us, to get involved with the work that we're doing, to come to those community conversations, become active partners with us as we continue to kind of press forward through this this new industry, which we're, I like to say we're what is it? Jamil always tells me we're building the plane while we're flying. So I think that we're learning some lessons.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a brand new. It's a brand new industry. It's a brand new industry. You know?
And I think that one of the other things outside of being a brand new industry, when we look at other states that have legalized cannabis, who have kind of set forth this idea of social equity. Again, I think from our previous conversation, I've been very critical in those areas because when I look at the criminal legal system in and of itself, which I already know that 95% of those individuals that were impacted by anti-cannabis enforcement, those weren't some of our card holders, they were impacted, but we're talking about our boys on the block. We're talking about, when we were just out there smoking, on the corners.
Yeah.
That's the 95%. That's the 95% that does not have I want to say the resources to enter into that space. So the employment sector becomes the most viable space for us to ensure that we're providing opportunities for these individuals to utilize those transferable skills. So, and I said that purposely because unfortunately, there's this misconception that our boys on the block don't know nothing about weed, when our boys on the block are the ones that created this whole market surrounding weed. We're the ones who popularized this thing called weed. We're the ones who engage. So what we're doing through even in these conversations is empowering those communities to let them, and these are the times I'm hoping that, with your podcast, that this will be listened to on the street corners, that they got it playing by the bodega, so they'll understand that, we do have the skill. You do have the skills. What we're trying to do is what we talk about, transferable skills from the illicit market to a legal market, because our boys know about weight. We know how to bag it. We know how to market. We know how to do all of that. But now we just want to take that skill set and put it in a legal sense that really gives them an opportunity to flourish in this space. And another thing I want to say for our listeners, this isn't simply about the weed to sell or the dispenser. We're talking about a whole ancillary market that are going to create all sorts of jobs in marketing, transportation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all those skills will provide an opportunity for those members of our communities who we believe in, who we support, to ensure that they have an opportunity.
Well, I got to tell you, regarding ancillary businesses, take a little break here for my sponsors. Just want to give a shout out to Proteus 420, who are excellent providers in ERP and POS systems. Also, New York City Cannabis Exchange out in Jericho Turnpike in Queens. They have amazing products from our brands and cultivators and processors in New York State. And of course, we also have Green Spectrum CBD. We're affiliated with them now, the OG Social Network podcast. They are just amazing, coming up with CBD and THC products, gummies and balms and tinctures. We'll be introducing them over the year. And a little special shout out to my friend Greg Myers. It's Myers Security. Myers Security offers you excellent service to ensure that your business is safe. Just want to let you know that, Greg, we love you. We love you. So anyway, getting back, we're going to talk about employment opportunities within the cannabis industry for communities impacted by the anti-cannabis policies. All right.
Yes.
What employment programs are being developed specifically for communities historically impacted by anti-cannabis policies?
Well, again, that's going to go back to what we were just talking about when we look at the ancillary market. That's just an open door. And I think that one of the things that we're committed to is ensuring that the communities that we service have an opportunity to enter this space at the entry level position. From that entry level position, that means opportunities from the weed to sell, cultivation, et cetera, et cetera. And once they're in through our partners, you know, we're and I want to do my own shout out, but I'll wait
No,
for that.
please. No,
We've
please.
also been in very some very promising conversation with the New York Cannabis Retail Association, NICRA. It's the coalition of card holders here in New York State. Shout out to Brittany and Jason. I hope you're listening in for the work that they're doing. And to be able to partner with the organization, with the coalition like NICRA, which, you know me, I'm like this. I got to go back to them days when we say for us, by us, FUBU. You got to be part of that to understand what FUBU is. To know that we have partnerships like that where there are going to be a range of employment opportunities for our clients, not only within the industry, but as we talked about in the ancillary market. So I never, ever want to limit our ability to impact this industry at any level, because what we do know is that through our trainings and our intentional partnerships, we're going to be able to impact a lot of opportunities and create a lot of doors of opportunity within this industry. However, we do know first and foremost, it's important to us that we have our students educated. We want them to understand this industry from top to bottom. We want them to be able to have a fundamental working understanding of this industry as they enter these dispensaries, and then make decisions if they want to go on to various internships, if that's into farming, if that's into cultivation, if that's into whatever that may be. So one of the things I'm always interested in when I heard you mention your partners, those relationships are important for the work that we're doing as we're thinking about how do we leverage who we are in this space to support this community, social equity, and what responsibility do we feel we have in it? I'm you know, some people may agree with me or not. This, I really, I'm just going to be mindful. One of the things I understand, Papa Duke, is that we developed this industry. Period. We marketed this industry. We made it sexy to be, because we have to remember 20 years ago, man, we was going to jail for this.
Right.
I didn't see certain groups of people, whoever going to jail, who I saw going to jail, you know, during my 19 years. It was us. I didn't see a whole. That's just the reality. And if that's a reality that we're honestly, as an industry, can say, you know what, them boys right now, we ain't gonna play. Let's not play politics or mind games. Let's keep it 100. If this is who did it. So I think that there's a responsibility that all of us have, from the MSOs, from elected officials, from OCM, to all the way down the line. There's a responsibility that we have to those communities to ensure that they have a pathway in any aspect of this industry to be successful. And I think I mentioned this to you earlier. For me, when I think about expungement is too limited for the communities that have been over-policed and over-impacted by anti-cannabis enforcement. When I think about licensing is too limited when we look at the a war on drugs that began under the Nixon administration that criminalized marijuana all the way. So we're talking about 50, 60 years of criminalization of communities, et cetera. And we can go down the list, man. We can go down the list. So again.
So what we need to, what I think we need to do now that we know what the problem was, is just fix this. Let's come up with great solutions and fix our communities. And through that is through economic, definitely economic and political representation. We don't have to worry about our culture. Our culture is on point. We just need to have our culture be accepted in mainstream society. I believe, like, I love people. I hate people. I'm mixed with so many people. So for me, I could never be racist. I can never be prejudiced. I could be wary of you, but once I get to know you, oh, you just like that, my Korean friend over there, blah, blah, blah. You remind me of this Dominican uncle, and boy, you Irish. Well, y'all got the same character because humanity is connected.
Exactly.
And we need to, like, I understand. I've read it. I've wrote papers on it. I know, but I now want to start hearing solutions. That's me. And that's what we all need to work on together. And you're doing it by providing education, by providing job opportunities. That's why we're doing the New York State Canna Farms tour, to get your students up there. You see, and they'll go to various farms. I've already got Hepworth Farms, Canacure Farms, Hudson Cannabis, Eaton Botanicals, Heirloom Farms. I just reached out to 5 black farms I finally found. Okay, they're going to be down. I'm going to do interviews with all of them. I'm going to talk to my friends, my Meyer friends, my Diaz friends, my Kopinski, whatever. I don't give a fuck where you're from. It is the content of your character that helps me know I could do business with you or have a friendship or a relationship with you.
Exactly.
It is, I don't know, the history I've been reading, that I've read has been gruesome. There is something about the European continent that they just fight for thousands of years, and then all of a sudden found another, but we need to stop that now. We're a one world unified. Everyone's going through the same shit. We got shitty politicians, shitty reputation. We're all of us throughout the world are taxed high, billionaires across the board. I don't give a fuck, Saudi, whatever. I don't care where you're from. If you're rich, if you're not taking care of that community and you have all of this and you have not eradicated hunger and poverty, which is fucking easy. It's easy because not everyone wants what you have. Many people are satisfied with the roof over their head, full stomach, and clothes on their back, and the ability to just provide for theirs.
And that's something I talked to, and that what you said, man. That this idea of minority, you hear these, and this is what I call these single narrative stories. If any of my students, they'll know what I'm talking about. We talk about these single narrative stories when the reality is, it's just like you said, a great majority, they're not trying to take over. They just want to be a part of the idea of the American.
It is a class war. We went from race to now class.
Yes.
And I don't give a fuck how much you got, but if you've got the power, you need to take care of those around you. Because
and that's how we talk about how do we use our privilege, how we use our space. And even being on this podcast with you today, sitting here, you have this platform that you're utilizing to empower and educate not only communities that have been disproportionately impacted, but also other communities.
Everybody.
This is that space where we find a commonality of our commitment to, as you said, this ideal of the American dream. We're just trying to, everyone is just trying to be a part of it. And that's it. And I tell my students this. There are two things that we exist in. There's the ideal of America, that all men are created equal, which we know is still an ideal we're working for. And then there's the reality. We have a commitment as a whole to continue to work towards that ideal as we go through this reality.
Well, you see, that sentence there gets me, all men are created equal. That's right. I think that should be changed, but there should be something added to that. We are created equal, but we do not live the same or have the same opportunities. So we want to be able to provide everyone. I don't care where you're from. You have every right to live in peace. And there's too much division in the way we communicate with each other, in the way we act. It's just ridiculous. And what I want to do with the podcast is show everyone I want right wingers on here. I want to get their perspective. I want left wingers. I'm a moderate. I'm down the line. Okay, that's the best way to live. Be balanced. Don't go too this far left. Don't go too far right. Stay on your path. Because sometimes I'm already seeing it in MAGA. I've never seen so many people across the board. I mean, come on, guys. We remember Nixon years. I mean, goddamn, that was kind of hard, but this is atrocious.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care who's running the country as long as they don't press the button and bring down the economy and take away from and help the poor, help people that need help. That's all. That bootstrap shit don't fly no more. We're not in the 1800s. We're in the fucking 21st century where we all must come together and build businesses like Myers Security, like CJEI, like other the retailers, everybody, every fucking body. There's more than enough. More than enough. So
when you say that, Papa Duke, that's where the challenges come in for certain segments. And you know, and sometimes I think that what's happening, I know you've been following it like me. We're starting to see a lot of uprising that's taking place in some of these red states now.
Yeah.
I've been following these Republican congressmen who are now going to their districts, who are being ran out of their districts. I just recently saw J.D. Vance get ran out of Vermont. Now, out of all places, me as a black man, I hope you'll listen to say Vermont. I stood with, man, when I was so proud of those people in Vermont. I'm so proud when I was at the Bostonians.
Let me tell you right now, I don't give a fuck. We are Americans. We're not America with 3 Ks. We are Americans. We've all come here from other places. We're all building a fucking great empire that is good for the world. Undoubtedly, we have to deal with administrations, but as we go, we are going up. I will not allow the next 4 years to determine the success of my country. I am going to be a part of being a positive influence, as all of us should be, right?
Yes.
But we're getting off in a tangent now, because you said we were going to do that.
No, that's not off in a tangent, because all this stuff is directly related to when we talk about equity and opportunity. When we talk about these things, we're just talking about one specific system. But when we talk about systemic discrimination, all these things align, because there are fundamental principles that we hold to in each of these things that allow us to be in this space today. When we're talking about, so what you were talking about was equity. It's not just all men are created equal. Yeah, we got all Equity says that we're going to provide enough for everyone to be actively participants in this work. We're not going to create systems with that discriminate, that marginalize one group over the other. And we're seeing that with our very eyes. So no, this is not a disconnect. And I'm glad you said that, because these are the overall, this is just one area that you and I get to see where we can talk about equity and equality. But remember, we got to talk about that in education. We have to talk about that in housing. We have to talk that out in food distribution. We have to talk about it in employment opportunity. We have to talk about that equity opportunity in all these spaces. So no, this is just one aspect of a much larger conversation. But here, I think in the cannabis industry, and I think in a lot of the places, but particularly the cannabis industry, it provides us a template as to what we need to be doing systemically to ensure that when you say we are Americans, and that American flag has a lot of different colors of red, white, and blue in it, and it did in the 1800s. There's a different representation of that red, white, and blue. And there are people who are part of that red, white, and blue who believe in the fundamental goodness of this country, what Lady Liberty represents, that France gave to us. When we talk about that Statue of Liberty, that was a beacon of hope. So I know it's not a disconnect. We're just having this conversation talking about cannabis because we already know it's the same thing we saw, in the past, and we see in other different things. So I think that where we're at today as a society, I think that we're moving we have to continue to move forward, as you say, to remain to be good people. I want to share something with their listeners. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said at the height of the civil rights movement in this country, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then you crawl. But whatever you do, you keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our responsibility, is to keep moving towards the ideal of equity, equality, fairness, and opportunity, which has always been that North Star of this country. It has always been the North Star of those of us who came with dreams from afar. It has always been that from our immigrant population coming here to be a part of that ideal. And we can't lose sight of that. We can never lose sight of that fundamental belief of what this country is. And again, you and I, we're talking about cannabis, but it's not isolated. I was speaking with one of my directors at school today. And I just want to say to our listeners, listen, today what we're talking about, this is not business as usual in the political and social atmosphere we're in. We have to be committed to ensuring that we're intentional in the work that we're doing, period.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing comes after that. We must be intentional in the conversations we're having, intentional in the work that we're doing, intentional in the friendships that we're developing, intentional, just like you just said, Papa Duke. I don't care who it is. You can be this, da, 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 da. We're coming here with a common goal and mission to create something together.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Lost you.
No, I'm still right here. Can you hear me?
Oh,
yeah, I'm still right.
You.
Yeah. So go right ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah. So I know we're coming up on the hour, and I got my class I'm going to be picking up on at 5:15. So it was very important for me to be able to come on here with you, Papa Duke, and not to only have this this conversation, but to have a much more well-rounded conversation. Also to share with you that on April 10th, the Cannabis Justice Equity Initiative will be hosting our community conversations in partnership with Cannabis NYC for our liftoff. We're going to be doing that directly at Exodus Transitional Community. It is my hope that you'll have me back as we get closer to that date. And I want to share
yes.
Papa Duke will be there. He will be doing interviews at the site. So we're going to be shooting live from there.
What's the address? What's the address of the site?
Oh man, don't ask me that. I'm going to send that to you.
Well, what we're going to do is when you send that to me a week later, we'll come back on and we'll do it again.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
We'll do it again. I'm going to edit this and get it out anyway, so make sure that the word gets out. So, but please repeat it again, please. What's going on April 10th?
We'll be launching our second annual really community conversations in partnership with Cannabis NYC, and that's going to be hosted at Exodus Transitional Community right here in New York on 3rd Avenue, 125th and 3rd Avenue.
Okay.
There at that facility. We want to be very intentional in this work, Papa Duke, that we have to keep ourselves committed to this work, that we're doing this and providing these restorative opportunities for communities that have been adversely impacted. So we're going to have a host of members from NICRA. We're going to have Papa Duke there. We're going to have a lot of our elected officials, such as Yusuf Salam, Eric Botcher, and a few others who have supported this work and believe in this work. And we really going to and really engaging with our broader community. I want to give a shout out to Dashida Dawson over at Cannabis. Tremendous work that they're doing. A big shout out to Keisha Sutton James, our deputy Manhattan Borough president, who has been very supportive of this work. And I could not do this work without the support of my team at CJEI, Jamil Mari, Jeffrey Hoffman, Joe DiMatteo, Sean Farrow, Keith Gaffney, Atanika James, Zyda Bourgier, and we can go on and on with those individuals who helped me do this work. We were talking earlier. It's because of that team me and you get to sit here and chop it up, but they're the ones who keep me and you standing up when we can be going anywhere. So I'm very fortunate for this opportunity to work with such an amazing group of people, but more also importantly, to be able to be on here sharing this work right here on the OG podcast.
I appreciate you. Well, the OG Social Network podcast appreciates having you on.
Always.
We will see you in about another 2 weeks to ensure, and then we'll push a little announcement a couple of days up. Okay.
Absolutely.
I don't mind helping, and besides, that's going to help me as well. It's one hand washes the other. I want to thank Terrence Coffie, co-founder and executive director of the Cannabis Justice and Equity Initiative. We will be seeing him in the next 2 weeks, and we'll discuss more about the program and the initiatives that they offer at the Justice Lab. And we will discuss April 10th and continue this conversation with more questions. I really appreciate you. I hope we can get Jamil on next time.
I'd definitely drag him here. Also, for any of your listeners that want to learn more about the work that we're doing, you can contact us at info at thecjei.org. We'll be, and once I come back on Pop Do, we'll be having some information for any of those individuals who want to, take part in this work. We're going to have breakout sessions. We're going to have panel conversations. We're also going to be having exhibition tables, a whole host of things. The main thing is for us to ensure that we're bringing those opportunities to our communities, to engage our communities, to kind of give them exposure to this tremendous industry and the work that's going to be taking place as we move forward.
You got it, man. I appreciate you. This has just been a great show. I love doing podcasts. I've been inspired by like the talk show hosts from back in the day, Johnny Carson, Mike Douglas, Arsenio Hall, those guys. And I always said when I was looking at everyone, like, damn, I really wish I know I could do that. I know I could do that. And his podcasts, all of this has been an amazing experience the last year. So meeting great people like you and Greg Myers and seeing Jorge Diaz, who I've never met. God bless you for coming on.
Shout out to Jorge Diaz. He's part of our partners over at Exodus Transitional Community. So big shout out to Jorge. Thank you for the support you guys are giving us in the work that we're doing collectively as partners.
Yeah, I got to get you on, Jorge. So listen, everyone, just stay on for a minute. I'm going to close the show out. Stay on. We have a couple minutes. We can do an after talk or conversation real quick because I know you have to go. I want to tell everyone, again, thank you so much for joining us today on the OG Social Podcast, which is sponsored by Produce 420, New York City Cannabis Exchange, and my friend Michael Bertucci up there in Hopewell Junction, Green Spectrum CBD. I am excited about the future. We have so much going on. We'll have announcements in the next 7 days about what's going on for the year. And I will have that live on YouTube. We will also be focusing on the New York State Canna Farms Tour, looking for transportation sponsors so we can get students from CJEI and other organizations and other colleges and universities up to see these farms, because they are all very excited about meeting people that are passionate about the plant and the industry. And again, I just want you all to know, thank you for taking the time out today. I know your time is quality. I love you very much. You know how I feel about everything in the world. People are just people. Love each other, respect each other, and remember to just relax, relate, and release. And I will see you in the next few days. Peace and blessings. And thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, I can edit all this other stuff out. So you all are invited to come on and talk if you'd like, just whatever. But I just want to say, Terrence, I know you have to go, and we'll all be leaving in a couple of minutes. I want to say I'll be ready for you April 10th. And I'm so looking forward to getting the content that we need. Definitely want you to reach out to Greg Myers. He's definitely good for getting out there so he can introduce security.
Yeah, I want to know, can I give him my, okay. Can you give him my contact? Greg? I
will. I'll take care of it.
Have Greg contact me, because that security piece is another important opportunity I would love to discuss.
All right. Yeah. So again, thank you all so much. I'm going to let you all go. Greg, feel free to call me, man. I'd love to talk to you. I want you to come to the April 24th. Just bring your table. It's free. It's for you, baby. Just Greg, give me a call. Give me a call right after. Just call me immediately. And I love you very much. I'll see you all soon. Okay, we'll talk. Greg, call me on 929. You got my number, Greg, right? 929. All right. Okay. Yeah. 687-6270. All right. God bless y'all. I'll see y'all soon. Bye-bye.